Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another interesting topic that affects a lot of people today, especially our women and people that are already having one or two challenges that have to do with movement. As we will see, that even what we consume affects us directly and can link us to something that is called the mother of lifestyle diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, with all pleasure, I remember my humble self, Lucky, Dr. Drugs. I'll be presenting this topic, obesity, weight management, and detox. Remember my humble self, Dr. Drugs. So, our table of contents goes thus. We can't talk about obesity without talking about lifestyle diseases. Then we'll talk about obesity itself and in relation to certain factors like food, energy, and obesity, signs and symptoms. Then let's ask ourselves this question. Does obesity lead to other lifestyle diseases? We'll find out shortly. And we'll talk about obesity as a mother of lifestyle diseases, weight management, importance of weight management, factors of weight management, all the way down to detoxification and all the way down further to something that affects women and men that have been battling obesity for ages, and that is rebound weight. We're going to talk about all these things and how they interrelate with each other. We're also going to talk about obesity and its relationship with other lifestyle diseases that we're going to mention shortly. And I promise it's going to be very interesting. So let's listen and write down our questions. And towards the end of this seminar, we can begin to prepare our questions and either drop it in the chat box or raise your hand and say you want to ask a question, and then we can answer. We have practitioners here that can also assist. We have specialists that will be here, by the grace of God, that can also assist in any kind of questions that you want to ask, consultations, even if you have contributions, you have anything you want to know about, or corrections, you can feel free to do so. Thank you so much. And lifestyle diseases, these are diseases linked to one's lifestyle, and they are non-communicable diseases. An example of such lifestyle that can lead to such diseases include lack of physical activity, poor dieting, alcoholism, smoking, substance abuse, all the way down to lack of rest, and so on and so forth. Lifestyle diseases include what we're talking about today: obesity, high blood cholesterol, fatty liver disease, cardiovascular disease, all the way down to heart attack. But let's bear in mind that many of these combine to form what is called metabolic syndrome and can include hypertension, type 2 diabetes, high blood cholesterol, etc. These all work together. In fact, prevention of these lifestyle diseases entail avoiding the avoidable risk factors, and lifestyle diseases often move together. It's more like all for one and one for all. Bear in mind that lifestyle diseases are mostly treatable, but guess what? The earlier, the better. Ladies and gentlemen, we have landed. Talking about obesity. Obesity is a complex condition that arises from an imbalance between energy intake and expenditure influenced by genetic factors, lifestyle, and environmental factors, and can lead to various health problems. But let's just give a very simple universal definition of obesity. It's excessive detrimental accumulation of body fat. This implies that our weight is directly influenced by the amount of fat in our bodies. That is it. Now, fat is a way our bodies store energy, and energy stored in fat is measured in calories. Hence, the higher the calories we consume, the higher our tendency to accumulate energy stores in our body as fat. So what's the relationship between food, energy, and obesity? We just talked about that shortly, but in a more direct and simplified form, food provides energy. It is measured in calories and is stored as fat in the body. But when excess as a store of energy, that means the excess energy is stored as fat to be used later. Now, when this fat storage becomes excessive and detrimental, it is obesity. Look at this picture here. You can see these identical twins. You can see what's happening to the guy that is eating vegetables and fruits and the guy that is sleeping at McDonald's and enjoying himself with all the fast food and all the refined carbohydrates and pastries and all that. And you can see the difference between the stomach or tummy area of the person on the left and that person on the right. So what are the signs and symptoms? Looking at this picture here, you already see a lot without being told. Shortness of breath, fatigue, chest pain, osteoarthritis, including spondylosis and sciatica. We've talked about this recently. Sleep apnea, that is interruption of sleep as a result of blockage of the airway. It happens intermittently during sleep, leading to poor quality sleep. We'll talk about that shortly. Heart diseases, type 2 diabetes, skin infections, because as people get obese, the folds begin to hold moisture that trap bacteria that can, or microorganisms that can lead to infection. Cancer is not left out because obesity is known to cause cancers or provoke cancers like breast cancer. Then we have fatty liver disease as a result of the high blood cholesterol associated with obesity. That's fatty liver disease as a result of high blood cholesterol associated with obesity. Depression is not left out. Look at this guy's face here. Does he look so happy? No. And then now to cure the problem, he's still having more fast food in front of him to solve that problem. We'll talk about that shortly. Lethargy, stroke, infertility, and so on and so forth. Now, what are the causes and risk factors? Look at the picture at the bottom right corner of the screen. You see this young man is actually enjoying himself with something that contains a lot of cholesterol and is fried and all that. Aromatic compounds are there. He's playing his video game. And look around him, you see all forms of substances that can lead to obesity, having a sedentary lifestyle and all that. That's just an example of the kind of things that can cause or provoke obesity. Unhealthy eating habits, lack of physical activity, poor sleep quality, stress, that's via the stress hormone called cortisol. Then we have obesogenic environments where we have only and mostly things that can lead to obesity. All the food and the kind of people around there provoke or influence people to engage in lifestyle choices that lead to obesity, especially when they don't even have safe places for exercise. And of course, they have limited access to healthy food and so on and so forth. We have socioeconomic factors. We have family history, genetics. Certain medications are not left out, like antidepressants, steroids, beta blockers, etc. Health or medical conditions like low thyroid hormones, hypothyroidism, and this can affect metabolism or the way our body processes energy and all that. And then it can also contribute to weight gain. Age, because the older we get, the way we metabolize things in our body or metabolism slows down with age. Menopause, a drop in estrogen and increase in testosterone activity, etc., can lead to poorer fat metabolism and abdominal fat, as well as an increase in ghrelin and decrease in leptin, provoke obesity via appetite stimulation. Pregnancy is not left out because changes in eating habits during pregnancy can lead to obesity. And guess what? After giving birth, to burn that fat is often more difficult. Then, of course, disability is another problem because people that are having sciatica and cannot walk, or they're having paresthesia or diabetic neuropathy and it's affecting their leg, or they have diabetic foot, or they've had stroke and they're paralyzed, and so on and so forth, can lead to decreased activity, and that will lead to decreased consumption of energy. And that will definitely lead to excess accumulation of body fat, or the tendency to have excess accumulation of body fat. So that's why disabilities are highly indicated as risk factors for obesity. So the question is, does obesity lead to other lifestyle diseases? We're going to find out shortly. Let's see what we have to say. As usual, Google is our universal university. So let's just go back to school. I like doing this because everybody has access to Google. So we can always go back and check. Now, I asked Google, I said, does obesity lead to other lifestyle diseases? And Google says yes. Obesity is a major risk factor for several lifestyle diseases, including type 2 diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, certain cancers, and sleep apnea. Remember what we talked about just not too long ago? And even went further to give us the reason why by breaking it down. For instance, cardiovascular disease, obesity increases the risk of developing conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and atherosclerosis. That's fatty deposits in arteries, which can lead to coronary heart disease and stroke. Type 2 diabetes is not left out because excess weight and body fat, especially around the abdomen, can lead to insulin resistance, which is just another way of saying type 2 diabetes. Certain cancers are not left out. You can see endometrial cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, liver cancer, gallbladder cancer, kidney cancer, colon cancer, all as a result of obesity. Then we have sleep apnea. We talked about the condition where breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep, leading to daytime sleepiness and other health problems. We have other conditions and metabolic syndrome, as we mentioned earlier. So you can see. So obesity, the mother of lifestyle diseases. Obesity is the mother of lifestyle diseases. according to Professor OBESITY. Okay, because it can give birth to other lifestyle diseases, including type 2 diabetes. Now, I'm going to be talking briefly about how this happens. You see, type 2 diabetes is provoked by obesity directly because we have what we call adipokines or adipocytokines that are secreted by the adipocytes of fat cells. These directly provoke insulin resistance and provoke type 2 diabetes. Obesity leads to high blood cholesterol because, of course, you know that fat and cholesterol are 10 and 10 pence. They are 5 and 6. That means, without even being told, we definitely know what will happen. When the liver is finding it difficult to process cholesterol as a result of excess fatty deposits, you see that this high blood cholesterol, the bad cholesterol begins to accumulate in the system and can lead to problems like, next, hypertension. Because the deposits will prevent free blood flow and the heart will need to pump with a higher pressure, and that means the blood pressure will go up. We've explained how fatty liver disease comes about because, of course, the liver processes about 80% of the cholesterol in our body, 20% is from diet, and that shows you how the liver gets affected. Infertility is not left out because we know that androstenedione can be processed to other hormones that affect the part of the brain that regulates reproductive function. Let's not go to, we'll talk about this more, we'll talk about this in detail in some other health seminar. Heart attack and chest pain is not left out because you know that once the heart is beginning to get clogged and overworked as a result of the need to supply an extra body mass, and as well as the cholesterol deposits or aggregates blocking blood flow to the heart, you find out that the heart cells begin to die and they cry out in pain, and that can lead to what is called angina pectoris or chest pain. That's why they are linked. That's why they are together. We've talked about this recently. That's a heart attack and angina pectoris. Stroke is not left out because now an increase in blood pressure, an increase in blood cholesterol levels leads to an increase or a strong increase in the risk for having stroke, especially ischemic stroke, which is the more common of the two most common types. Then we have osteoarthritis, spondylosis, and sciatica because of the weight of the person pressing on the joints, especially the lower back. We're talking about from that lumbar area, that's L3, L4, L4, L5, then L5, S1. You see that people begin to have issues, and when the sciatic nerve root that emanates from that lumbar region gets squished as a result of this weight pressing down on the spinal joints or the intervertebral disc, then sciatica comes into play. And then people begin to wonder whether their village people are at work. It's not village people, it's just as a result of obesity. Now, let's take note that menopause leads to obesity due to hormonal imbalance via increased estrogenic and increased androgenic, via decreased estrogenic and increased androgenic actions or activities. And that will lead towards accumulation of fat, especially around the tummy area, then altered appetite via increase in ghrelin and decrease in leptin. That affects the way we eat. Oh, we can see right here, we can see Mr. and Mrs. Obesity, and then we have their babies. This is the daughter, Obesita, and that's the son, Obesito. And you can see that everybody is like from the same tree in that picture. So, what is weight management? It's the process of achieving or maintaining a healthy weight via certain activities, techniques, and physiological processes. You see, from basic principles, weight management is a function of calories consumed versus calories expended. That picture shows very clearly how there's a battle between using the treadmill and sleeping at McDonald's. Weight based on energy balance simply means that to have a maintained weight, calories consumed must be equal to calories expended. Calories consumed exceed calories expended when weight begins to increase, and weight loss means that calories consumed must be below calories expended. So calories consumed are from foods and drinks. There is no magic there. Some people will say that they don't know why they're adding weight. But if you have a camera that follows them like Big Brother Naija or Big Brother program 24/7, you will find out that they don't stop eating when nobody is around. But when people are around, they behave as if they don't eat. And you find out that it is that food they are eating that is making them add weight. Some have other issues that we'll talk about shortly, but it still boils down to lifestyle. So the calories expended are from basal metabolism, that's energy used to sustain life at rest, and physical activity. That's why exercise is highly indicated. So far we can see that two major factors have already been mentioned. We have dieting, that means what you eat can actually provoke obesity or help you to go down. And then we have expenditure of calories or energy, whether you are storing energy excessively or you are expending energy adequately, will also determine whether one can be obese or not. I can see this young lady here, she's looking surprised that she's adding weight, but you and I know that she sleeps at a fast food restaurant near her house. Now, examples of factors that influence weight gain or weight loss include dieting, what you consume. The Mediterranean diet is what I'm going to show us very soon. We see what people that like to live long eat often, the kind of food they eat. Exercise helps to burn off calories. Certain illnesses or diseases make people lose weight, especially in cases of cachexia and all that. Then we have genetics, because some people have genetic tendency to be fat or slim, but that is not a genetic sentence. Remember that there's some people that are fat, but when they go to jail, they come out and they're looking like a lizard. It's not magic. It's just simply that what they were eating excessively before was no longer available in their environment. They found themselves, and when they come out, they are like lizards. So that means wonderful. This is what I call all things bright and beautiful. You look here, you won't see St. Maurice, you won't see Azul, you won't see Benson, you won't see SK, you won't see Arizona, you won't see Azul, and you won't see dry gin. What you see here are just things that we need to eat, and you can see it's named after a beautiful set of people or a beautiful people called the Mediterraneans. You can see brightly colored fruits and vegetables here, apples, you can see oranges and all that. All here, and this is how you eat if one wants to maintain weight. But let's not forget that we just talked about two factors now, but we're still going to talk about more. We've not talked about natural pharmaceuticals, and we've not talked about autophagy. We'll get to that shortly. We've been hearing body mass index. Some patients will call me and say that they're having high blood pressure. I'm like, tell me your weight and your height. And the patient will be like, what concerns weight and height in blood pressure again? Is my BP being pumped by my weight, or is it pumped by my height? Please, I'm having BP. What do I do? This is the reason why it's important. Because the wider the amount of body mass, or the larger the amount of body mass that has to be supplied blood by the heart, the higher the amount or the force or energy or blood pressure needed to supply that body mass. It's as simple as that, or as simple as that. Now, BMI is simply weight in kilograms divided by height in meters squared. It's a fair way to classify one's weight. As you can see, the range is between 18.5 to 24.9 kilograms per meter square. That is the normal range. But anything below this is underweight, and anything above this, then you begin to go into overweight, obesity 1, obesity 2, obesity 3. We have so many people that are above. In fact, we need to have obesity 4 and 5, but unfortunately, this is where we stop for now. So people are having obesity 10 if possible, because it is just so terrible. I've had patients that have had a body mass index of 53, 55, or thereabout. That is so high. In fact, they are falling off the classification grid. So that is terrible. So basically, it's excessive detrimental accumulation of body fat, as I mentioned. So if you look at this picture here, you can see how this young lady just entered year 1. Then she got a boyfriend here, and don't take her out to different places to go and eat and drink. And then she gets married, and this part she's pregnant, and she has given birth to 10 children here. And you can see how her body has moved from this model shape to the obese form, and so on and so forth. If you look at this screen here, you see that the challenges in weight management are just too many. That's why people find it very difficult to take care of this or tackle this lifestyle disease. It's called a lifestyle disease. Remember that lifestyle is often difficult to change. Now, let's talk about some of them. Hormonal imbalance. Of course, we talked about that with regards to menopause and pregnancy. Slow metabolism that also happens when people are getting older. Genetic predisposition, chronic health conditions, certain conditions like hypothyroidism, Cushing syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome, especially some ladies that find it difficult to give birth and they're having primary or secondary infertility. That's why when a woman even wants to go for IVF, they tell her to go back and go and reduce her weight oftentimes. Go and verify, because the excess weight can also reduce the possibility or chances of having a successful IVF. Sleep apnea is not left out. Certain medications are also not left out. Then we have thyroid problems. Hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism can affect metabolism and weight. We have adrenal gland problems, gut health issues, leaky gut. Even when I'm talking about intellectual disabilities like autism and dyslexia and cerebral palsy and trisomy 21 and all that, I also mentioned leaky gut because, of course, unwanted substances begin to pass through the intestinal cavity into the bloodstream and can lead to a cascade or myriad of issues that can, guess what, also provoke or hinder the progress of weight management or hinder the process of weight management. Inflammation is not left out. Emotional eating, so maybe when they cry, they are eating. Lack of motivation is not left out. Negative body image is not left out. Stress is not left out. Anxiety is not left out. Depression is not left out. Trauma is not left out. Unhealthy food environment. Social pressure is not left out. Lack of support. Some people feel they can reduce weight on their own, but they have been trying to reduce weight since 1982 till today. They have not been able to reduce that weight. So you can see that it's a very big problem. Having a busy schedule is also an issue. Socioeconomic factors also an issue. We have cultural factors. Work-related factors are not left out. Poor eating habits are not left out. Lack of physical activity is not left out. Then we have poor sleep habits. Some people sleep late in the night and then they're going to fry egg and toast bread around 1 a.m. You can see that's another problem. There are many ways these things happen, but let's just be quick about it. Then we have not tracking progress. That is, you don't even know what your weight was before you started weight management program, and you are having a weight management. How do you know how far you have gone? You don't know where your weight, you don't know what your weight was before the weight management program started, and you're on the weight management program. So how are you going to know how much progress you have made? So that's a very big problem. So people may even be adding, and they will think that they are reducing because they may be undergoing a wrong weight management program. Then unrealistic expectations not left out. We have aging, screen time, always pressing the phone, sitting down in one place, looking at the screen, pressing the phone 24/7, making the person sedentary is on that problem. Of course, food delivery apps, bang, bang, bang. They've already contacted Cold Stone, already contacted Domino's Pizza, is at the door already. Careful. Then we have financial constraints on that challenge because some people find it difficult to afford the kind of foods they feel they need. But believe it or not, that is actually a myth because if you're having inflation or increase in cost of foods that we're not supposed to eat, there's also a commensurate increase in cost of foods that we're supposed to eat. That is just it. So it's all a matter of choice. Then we have food environment and so on and so forth. You can see this man at the bottom right of the screen doesn't know where to put this problem of weight management and has been carrying it up and down. Please, let's find a way to drop these problems and move on with a healthy BMI. Chemical intervention. This is a very, very important aspect because there's a particular drug here right now that is making waves all over the country, all over the US especially. We're going to talk about that. It's actually controversial, but let us see whether this medication are actually helping us or not. Now, you can see that we have Olistat, we have phentermine, topiramate. Then we have naltrexone, bupropion, we're having liraglutide, we're having tirzepatide, and guess what? We're also having semaglutide, which is popularly known as Ozempic. We're going to talk about this particular medication. You can see that this GLP-1 agonist works similarly to liraglutide, helping to regulate blood sugar levels and promote weight loss by reducing appetite and increasing feeling of fullness. But let's find out how effective or whether there's any kind of caution we should actually have with regards to it. People are asking me oftentimes. And I tell people the truth, but let's find out and see if these are actually very good for us. Because you know one thing about chemicals is that I'm not saying that we should disobey our health practitioners, okay? But sometimes one has to be very careful, one has to apply wisdom. Remember that all drugs are poisonous. That is, all drugs are poison. That's the first thing we should understand. So anybody that is using drugs to reduce weight must have to stick closely to the prescription that he or she has been given. We're going to find out why now, because we're talking about chemical intervention. Now look at the side effects of these things. You can see all the start causes gastrointestinal side effects, vitamin D deficiency, increased risk of kidney stones, allergic reactions, interference with other medication. You can see that it can affect with blood thinners and reduce their effectiveness. Look at phentermine, topiramate, causing central nervous system side effects, all the way down to naltrexone, bupropion. You can see that. Let's just jump to semaglutide, which is the Ozempic people are chewing like chin-chin up and down. You can see that it causes gastrointestinal side effects. You can see it causes vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, abdominal pain. It can lead to increased risk of pancreatitis. That means it can actually provoke diabetes in the long run, which may increase the risk of pancreatitis, especially in people with history of pancreatitis. And we have an increased risk of thyroid tumors. Wonderful. Then we have allergic reactions. We have injection site reactions, and so on and so forth. And finally, it can even kill the person because of low blood sugar. People are swallowing this up and down. Nobody will advertise that I drank Ozempic and died. Why? Because the person is dead. That's the truth. So I don't know why people are swallowing this thing up and down because of feel that you want to eat your cake and have it. But I promise people that these drugs are all poisonous. Once you begin to use them like this, the company that is producing them will continue to encourage you to use them because of profit. But later, oftentimes, they now start confessing of they just discover that it causes this problem or that problem. But by then, people that have consumed it are now going to be looking like tilapia because they have finished their one part of their system or the other. Be careful. There's no shortcut in weight management. Follow the due process and reduce your weight normally. Detoxify yourself and you'll be fine. That is just it. So what's the importance of weight management? Now, let's bear this in mind. Without weight management, treatments and surgical procedures for many health conditions may just be a waste of time. Let me give you an example. If you have not done weight management, proper weight management, and you are doing having a decompression surgery, spondylosis surgery, my brother and sister in the Lord, you are wasting your time. If you have not managed your weight and you are trying to do knee replacement surgery, my brother in the Lord and my sister in the Lord, you are wasting your time, most likely. Let me put it that way. Especially cases of people that are having severe type 2 diabetes. You are overweight and you're having type 2 diabetes and you're drinking metformin from January to December, you may be wasting your time. If one is having high blood cholesterol, hypertension, fatty liver disease, and a lot of other problems, or someone has had an ischemic stroke and is trying to recover, and the person is overweight. In fact, if someone has had diabetic foot and one leg has been cut, and then the person is still overweight, the person should be preparing for the other leg, because if one does not manage his weight, the sugar will still stay high. Or what about when the drugs or the chemical drugs the person is taking begin to lose their effectiveness? What will now happen? Please, let us apply wisdom. Now, being overweight or obese leads to certain conditions or certain things. Now, this is one way of knowing what weight management can do. As the reverse of this is what weight management can do for us or help us with. Now, type 2 diabetes is not left out. Hormonal imbalance, as aforementioned, infertility, PCOS, endometriosis, as aforementioned, hypertension, we've explained that already, stroke, high blood fat, cholesterol blockade, we have heart attack, cancer, talked about that recently, low immunity or lower immunity, fatty liver disease, osteoarthritis, spondylosis, sciatica, breathing disorders, increased internal stress and free radicals that damage DNA, gallstones, skin issues and stretch marks, and so on and so forth. So you can see that the opposite is what weight management will help us with. So toxins are stored in fat cells. So let's make sure that as we are reducing our weight, we detoxify ourselves, because when fat goes down and the toxins begin to get concentrated in the little ones remaining, guess what? They can redilute themselves with what? Fat, and that can provoke rebound weight. Detoxification. It's very important that as we lose weight, we detoxify ourselves, because fat has a very mysterious or mischievous way of storing toxic substances That means a lot of things we inhale from our environment are often stored in fat cells. Now, the medicinal or physiological process of removing harmful substances or toxins from the human body, especially by the liver and the kidneys, that is the basic definition of detoxification or detox. The presence of unwanted materials lead to oxidative stress that lead to production of reactive oxidative species that damage DNA and lead to a myriad of unwanted health conditions. And these include hormonal imbalance, infertility, rapid aging, cancer, and so on and so forth. So what are toxins? These are organic poisons that occur naturally, produced by metabolic activity, as natural processes of living cells or organisms. These toxic substances may be oil or fat soluble. We mentioned that. Now, oil-soluble toxins often hide in fat cells, hence fat obesity serves as a reservoir for these toxins. And these toxins often cause weight gain, hence losing weight without detoxifying the system leads to weight gain often. Again, let me put it that way, because it's basically called rebound weight. We'll talk about that shortly, so let's not go into that now. So what are the dangers of toxins? Of course, fat cells, adipose cells often harbor toxins that help in the production of substances that may be harmful to the body. An example is conversion of androstenedione, which is an androgenic or male sex hormone, to estrone, which disrupts parts of the brain responsible for regulation of female sexual and reproductive function. We talked about that recently. So you can see that obesity can actually provoke infertility. There you have it. So it's worthy of note that fasting appropriately helps to detoxify the liver via a process called autophagy. In this process, the liver converts harmful substances, e.g. excess liver fat, scar tissue, etc., to useful substances. And you know that liver is the major or one of the major detoxifying organs in the body. Let's bear in mind that drinking enough water helps to detoxify the system, especially through what? The kidneys. That's why it says when you're having any weight management program, you'll be told to drink water abundantly or adequately. Because as these fat cells are being broken or are being removed from our system, the toxins that they are actually holding in need to be flushed out one way or the other, or as much as possible. And of course, the kidneys will help us with that. What is the importance of detoxification, or what are the importance of detoxification? Now, this helps to eliminate harmful substances, improve digestion. You see, by cleansing the digestive system, detoxification can reduce bloating, constipation, and indigestion. This promotes better gut health and nutrient absorption. Let's not forget that there's what we call a strong link between our gut health and our immune system. There's a very strong link between our gut health and immune system. So let's bear that in mind. So in fact, most of the diseases we know, or a lot of diseases we know, start from the gut, actually. So detoxification helps the body rid itself of toxins, pollutants, and waste products that accumulate due to environmental exposure, dietary choices, and lifestyle factors. These toxins can negatively impact various bodily functions and contribute to chronic health problems. You can see that detoxification is very important. Now, detoxification helps to strengthen the immune system. I just talked about that recently. And of course, this allows the body to fight off infection and illness more effectively. And of course, it helps to support organ health, especially the liver and the kidneys, which play very important roles in detoxification. Now, the product you are seeing here is just a depiction of what, or an example of what a standard operational weight management program should be. I'm not saying that if you have other weight management programs, you should not enjoy yourself. But if you're my patient, this is what I'm going to give to you. I have so many testimonies that as a health practitioner, there's no need for me to begin to ask, does this work? Because I have actually gone to do the research myself and found out what is actually in these things that help my patients to enjoy professional weight management and detoxification. So I'm going to share some of my research with us here, but bear in mind that I'm not compelling anybody that you must buy this product, but I will give this to you if you're my patient, because I've been using it and it has been working perfectly for me. So let's focus on the active ingredients in this product. The active ingredients are to focus on. So if you can find the active ingredients in Mars, in Venus, anywhere you like, you can get them. But if you're my patient, I'm going to give you products from Forever Living Products. They have been here for about 50 years. and they do not compromise standard. That is what I love about them. So weight management program, also known as Clean 9 program. It is a 9 days detoxification and weight management program designed to reduce caloric intake and increase caloric expenditure systematically via use of low caloric diet plan, exercise, autophagy or therapeutic fasting, and what? Natural pharmaceuticals, while ensuring adequate nourishment. Now, if we're going to count, we see that we've talked about dieting, we've talked about exercise and weight management. I'm sorry, we've talked about dieting, we've talked about the importance of exercise or energy expenditure, and now we've talked about autophagy, and now we're here, we're talking about weight management itself. So you can see that we've talked about 4 basic things or more that have to do with weight management and detoxification. Of course, we've also talked about detoxification. That's making 5. Now you see that this program systematically includes intermittent appropriate fasting that helps detoxify the liver. You see, every morning we are thousands of patients that I wake up every morning, or thousands of people I try to wake up every morning to do exercise. And I always say 15 to 30 minutes of exercise out of 1,440 minutes in a day can save somebody's life. And I always encourage everybody to drink water till 12. You see, one of the problems we have is in this on earth today is misinformation. I hear a lot of people saying that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Have you asked yourself for whom? If one is having lifestyle diseases, you don't have much business with breakfast. It's a scam for you. Once you're 35 to 40, you're having obesity, or you're having high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, fatty liver disease, or one has had an ischemic stroke, or one has had a heart attack, and so on and so forth, or one is having infertility secondary to obesity, and so on and so forth. And the person is saying that they said breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and you're swimming inside cornflakes, and you're bathing with milk, and you're enjoying yourself in the morning, eating bread till your stomach is like those pots they used to put water in the olden days, and then you believe that you are following the rule. Some say that the health practitioner told them that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Please and please and please, you have little or no business with breakfast. Drink water till 12, because go and Google what is autophagy. It's about 18 hours of professional fasting. If you ate at 6 p.m. the previous day, if you count 18 hours from 6 p.m., won't it land at 12 in the afternoon? Have you asked yourself, why is it that our ancestors were living older than us? Why? A lot of our ancestors in Africa were living up to 120, 130, 140. Some of them, we don't even know their age. They just tell us that they were around when white people came. And maybe white people came around 18 something. And then we now have to start saying, okay, how old were you? They say, okay, I was like that girl. You now add the age, because these people are ageless. We don't even know their age. When they wake up in the morning, they sweep the compound, they go to the farm. And they'll be at that farm exercising till around 11, 12. They take a tuber of yam, scrape it, put it on the fire. If your father is rich enough, you have salt, you do the stone salt like this, then you get the palm oil. If your father is very rich, you have some onions, you slice with pepper. There's no chemical food there. Then they eat around 12, 12:30. And then they carry the firewood, another exercise again, back to the house. Please and please, I don't know the person that had lights in the olden days. There was no lights, nothing like NEPA. And people had to cook their food before 6 p.m. So they had to eat their dinner around 6. So tell me, is that not dieting, exercise? Is that not autophagy? Is that not weight management? Is that not detoxification? Because they've had enough time to allow their liver to detoxify their system. So why are we asking ourselves, why are people having sickness up and down these days? Please, let's just ask, let's introspect and ask ourselves the truth. If you feel you don't understand what I'm saying, you can chat me up later and let me explain better to you. This is just the truth. We know it, but the problem is that we don't want to do it. That is the truth. Then we stick to one person that is one practitioner that is a commissioner for breakfast affairs that will tell you that breakfast is compulsory for somebody that is weighing 150 kg. Hello? It doesn't make any sense. So please, that's that aside. Then we can see that this weight management program generally helps us against other lifestyle diseases, ensures weight loss without damage to liver tissue. Because a lot of people undergo malnutrition and they say that they're having weight management, and that damages cells. That's why you find some people that are told to go and reduce weight even they have spondylosis. They go and reduce weight and come back and it's worse. When they go for the x-ray, what they now find is desiccation. Why desiccation? The cells are getting dried up because they underwent the wrong weight management program. You see? Now, this program will also help to remove fats, including those that are found in the blood vessels that supply the heart and other areas. Of course, they help to tackle hormonal imbalance associated with menopause. So you can see that it is very, very essential that this is followed closely. So let's find out what are the components. Yes, I'm just bringing out some of the components that are found in that box of the Clean 9. A lot of people are familiar with this product. In fact, we can't finish talking about this product today. Just know that its functions are numerously numerous. But let's just bear in mind that it helps to protect DNA from free radical damage. It is adaptogenic and help to regenerate and rejuvenate damaged organs of the body, including the liver, which is the main organ for detoxification in the body. And it contains saponins that help to cleanse the digestive system, as well as fiber, and so on and so forth. So there's just so many. We're just going to rush through. This is what we give people from the third day, around 3:15 or so, in the afternoon, around 3-something p.m. to support, because the first 2 days is basically what is in that box that one will have to consume. It's not an easy program, but believe in me, anytime people go through this program and come out, the testimonies are just too much. Fiber is not left out because we know that it is designed to reduce hunger cravings during the program while boosting growth of good bacteria. Remember, you can see I put immunity in bracket there. That's to show you that that's the link between the gut health and immunity we talked about not too long ago. Now, when we're talking about thermogenic substances, we'll talk about that more. These are substances that help to burn off fat and convert to energy. Remember, in those days, when a woman gives birth, the mother goes for what is called omugo. And one of the things that the mother will always do is to create this amazing pepper soup that they give the woman to take. People do not know why they will always say that drink pepper soup to help to melt fat. It's not the pepper soup that is melting in fat the way you melt fat on fire. No. We have what are called thermogenic substances in that pepper soup, especially the black pepper that you find there, amongst other things. I think they say Igbos call it uzuzai or something like that. And those things have thermogenic substances. They help to burn off fat. That's why when the woman that just gave birth keeps sipping them, the stomach begins to go down quicker. And she will think it's the heat from the pepper soup that is melting. No, that's not what's happening. But our ancestors were not far from the truth, because the component of that pepper soup is helping to melt it. But guess what? We have even more powerful ones in this product called therm. In fact, the word therm is coined from the word thermogenesis. That's the ability to burn off fat to produce energy. That means during the program, as you're taking this, rather than you get weaker, the fat that is being burnt off will be producing energy to propel you further into the program. Amazing. Now we have what is called hydroxycitric acid. It's found in Garcinia plus. This Garcinia plus is related to what Yorubas call urogbo, because it is gotten from this hydroxy. It is gotten from one of the major sources of its ingredients is Garcinia cambodia, which is related to Garcinia cola. Remember that the uses of bitter cola is limitless. Remember that it also detoxifies the liver and so on and so forth. So, but this is a more refined form, because remember that bitter cola comes with caffeine. You can't be chewing bitter cola 24/7 because one is going to affect sleep and a lot of other factors. But bear in mind that this will help to detoxify the liver, and also in addition, it contains this hydroxycitric acid that hinders the production of fat from carbohydrates. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask us a question. In this part of the world, is it not carbohydrate that's our major or staple food here? So are we surprised people are getting fat? Because we know that carbohydrates get converted to fat. And that's why it goes through the mevalonic pathway for those that are scientists here. And you can see that it can lead to production of what is called cholesterol short. And you can see that this will also help to prevent that from happening. Then we have lean or forever lean, which contains chromium trichloride, which helps regulate metabolism or use of carbohydrates and helps to reduce weight. A measuring tape as evidence of effectiveness is added there. These Americans are not joking. They put a tape there to show you that by the time you measure your waistline before you started the program, and you measure it after you have done the program, you will see that the difference is 7 up. Of course, there's a book guide there to help us, and so on and so forth. So what are the features? You can see that it helps to detoxify naturally, boost immunity, improve mood, boost libido, reset metabolism, rejuvenate from inside out, improve sleep, make people boutique friendly. A lot of women, when they run this program, they come back and tell me that they have gone to the tailor up to 3 or 4 times to go and readjust their clothes. Yes, you have to readjust your clothes, because remember that the fat that came last is the fat that will go first. And oftentimes the fat that came last is the one that is in the tummy. That's the one that will go first. You understand? So it's easy. So that means when you run this program, don't be afraid that your natural endowments will disappear if you're a woman. Don't worry. Just know that the last fat to come is the first fat to go. And that's why you find that a lot of people that run this program eventually have this hourglass shape that they had before. That's why we boutique friendly. So it will also provide support and structure with the medical team, which I'm one of, and which are one of them, and a lot of other people that we have here, as I've mentioned, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, you see that the secret for the global success of this unique proprietary blend of C9 pack is in decades of experience, scientific researches, proofs, and evidence on how our bodies generate energy and ward off diseases. So without C9, you can be doing everything right, like restricting calories, eating only fruits and veggies, gymming, exercising daily, taking drugs like the Ozempic we mentioned, surgery, packaging, and nothing seems to work. The accelerated aging is still on. Weight loss is still a mirage, or at best, you go on merry-go-round of losing weight and regaining it back with extra. That's what I call rebound weight. Of course, fatigue, general body pains and development, etc. You know, degenerative diseases like age-related degenerative disc disease, aka spondylosis, or age-related degenerative joint disease of the knee, like osteoarthritis of the knee, keeps getting worse or getting worse and worse faster. All those are because we're not following the proper process. So C9 versus obesity is very simple to consider. It's very simple to understand, considering the 3 major ways fats are accumulated in the body, which is digestion, or elimination of fat, and cellular production of fatty substances. So you can see that hydroxycitric acid helps with that, so that we don't be like this sumo wrestler. Then remember I talked about thermogenesis, and that is how fat is burnt off and converted to energy, as you can see there. Remember I talked about TEM, which contains that. Now, this Clean9 program also helps to detoxify our system. Don't forget that it also helps to detoxify the liver, which is the major detoxified organ in the body. You can see this boyfriend and this girlfriend are excited because they have lost weight. This guy's 6 packs is amazing and is already showing clearly. And this young lady is already having that hourglass physique she wants. That's, of course, giving them that smile and confidence. You can see that weight loss or professional weight management has a lot of gains. And you can see that this relationship will go to the next level very soon. So, simply put, the prevention and reversal of all the negative effects and or dangers of obesity are taken on. Then now, let's talk about rebound weight quickly. This is simply the resistance of the body to weight loss. It's postulated that there is a disconnection between the gut and the brain. Hence, while the gut says it's full, the brain says it's still hungry. Hence, this means that your brain knows your weight and tries to ensure that one eats until weight lost is gained back. That's why I see that when people are undergoing professional weight management, somebody will be at Nyanya and will be smelling suya that they are making at Utako because the brain wants to eat. That is it. You'll be in Nigeria and somebody is having barbecue in South Africa, you're smelling it because your brain wants to eat and take you back to your former weight. And that's why rebound weight is a very serious problem. And that's why Screen9 or professional weight management program is the best way you can go about it. In fact, I extend mine to 30 days for my patients, and I've never had any regrets for doing that. So we have to lock in our new weight. Thanks to this hydroxycitric acid found in Garcinia, thermogenesis, and so on and so forth. And in the weight management program, we find how we can lock our weight in. Because when you bring your weight down, you have to keep it down. Not just bringing your weight down, that's to stay down. So on this note, I will leave us with this. You are what you consume. And there is a constant battle between factors that repair and protect our bodies and those that break it down. So we just have to be on the winning side. And your food may be killing you, like this young man here. Look at this bank manager. His food is already swallowing him already. In fact, he has ate the food until the food is not eating him. Let's not find ourselves in this kind of situation. We have to understand that your food may be killing you. Hopefully very soon we'll talk about this in more detail. Let's kindly remember not to adjust our medication or dosage without the guidance of a trained health practitioner. Please, Sabinus, take note. This guy is not joking. Prevention is better than early detection. Don't start eating today, and when you finish eating, you now start saying, I don't know why I'm fat. Forgetting that you have if God can play a tape of all the times you were eating, you'll be like, oh, I didn't know, I forgot. You forgot, but the fat in your body did not. So we have to be very careful and mind what we eat. The choices we make today determine how healthy we will be tomorrow. If you open this first door, sleep at McDonald's, have a flat there. Open the second door, avoid exercise like poison, and engage in sedentary lifestyle and poor lifestyle choices. Open this third door, and you find yourself having Mediterranean diet, exercising, waking up around 5:30 to 6 every morning to do about 15 minutes to 30 minutes exercise every day out of 1,440 minutes a day to save your life. Then you find out that if you go through this door, that will determine that you are going to be healthy tomorrow. It's as simple as that. Let's not forget that aging is not a disease. It only needs maintenance, because we're talking about aging and how things happen when people age. That's not a problem. Just maintain yourself and enjoy life. Obesity often makes treatment and surgical procedures for many ailments and conditions futile in the long run. Oftentimes, if you go around and find out how many people have had decompression surgery for spondylosis that are overweight, if you can ask each and every single one of them, they will tell you that the surgery was unsuccessful because their weight still went as far as even bending the rod that they put inside the spine. That's complete waste of money and torture because of obesity. So please, let's take note of that. Just give an example with that. You find that people that are even hypertensive, go and find out among those that are hypertensive that are overweight. In fact, some of them are having increased medication as they're getting older because their system is getting used to the drugs and they have no choice. Before you know it, they are having resistant hypertension, which is one of the worst type of hypertension that one can have. Thank you so much for coming and remain blessed. Good night and God bless. Bye.